All right, I'm gonna say it again for anybody that's listening. Yeah, my I guess my Belna or whatever it is. I think that's what they call it. Like your godmother, your kid's godmother is my cousin, and she called me and said, "Hey, I want to bring the kids over for spring break because they're not doing anything here, and we have a few other cousins that might show up. Can they come and stay? Can we come and stay at your crib?" I'm like, "All right, cool." Me and my wife talked it over. We are fine, and we opened it up. And then I told her straight up, "You might want to ask the girls because they're pre-tweens, they're teens, and they have their own interpretation of how they want to live their lives." And
Mm-hmm.
lo and behold, you find out that my goddaughter denied the invite. Her sister also denied the invite, and then my godson, who is buck nothing, he's all in. Like he's like what, 6 going on 7. So he been here in December, and he's coming right back up here again just to kind of take in even more sites. It's interesting to see it because the more and more we go down this path of giving people this opportunities and chances in life, you see how they make their decisions. And
Mm-hmm.
on top of that, if you're not teaching those kids those type of values to be worldly, to go places or take opportunities, they start being like everybody else. They just don't go anywhere. They don't do anything. It's not like they're staying behind at this house or this resort and truly kind of learning something new. There's no real true benefit of staying home, but we're finding there's a generation now that they ain't about nothing. And I do not want that for my other 2 godsons. I don't want that for them as the choice metrics in their minds. I want to make sure that they are seeing the world. And if that's the case, I'm going to start like building into my own travel plans, grabbing the kids and taking them on different types of trips, road trips, ski trips, or even trips to Europe. So they can actually experience it, maybe not at my level, but at their level to say, I've seen things, right? And hopefully broadening their horizon. And maybe down the line, when opportunities come, like to travel the world or to see or to go to different places, they're not going to be the ones to say, "Nah, I'd rather stay at home and do nothing."
It's funny that you mentioned that because when you really think about how like different things have become across the years, that people have become more stable, like, hey, I just want to kind of do the virtual thing, but exposing the kids to these things will be a life-changing thing because I was mentioning that to you guys in the group chat that I had my best friend and her sons come over, and he has been talking about Boston every day after school. And now he wants to do another trip. He's like, we can do 5 days this time. I took them to the aquarium, the museum. They got to see an ice castle built up with ice. And it was such an exploration for him that has opened up his mind. Like, yeah, I could go to Boston, and I would love to do other trips with them that are international, that are different. Because I remember how, as I started to kind of get older, I'm looking at points in my life that gave me like a piece of like change that I didn't recognize helped. And when my mom used to always take us, me and my brother and I, to New York and Connecticut and Rhode Island every year. We would do a road trip up. And I remember when I was 12 or 13, I said, one day I'm going to live up north. And lo and behold, I live in Massachusetts. I'm definitely up north. I'm definitely north side and northeastern. And I believe deep down that was just because of exposure. I saw other people live there. I saw other ways of living. I would come back from the summer vacation having a story to tell about what we did. And those small, but in my mind, probably minimal at the time, it changed my life. It allowed me to be able to make moves and allowed me to know I don't have to be stuck in Florida. I could do other things. I could explore other things. So I think, man, just exposure is such a big thing. And so I think it's going to be amazing. What are you looking forward to the most out of it, Lawrence, with the kids?
I guess from my end, it's gonna be challenging to travel with kids. I've done it before, where I think we went to Orlando before with them or something like that. But done type of shorthand trips with them. But traveling with myself, traveling by myself is easy because I know where I'm gonna go, I know what I'm gonna move, what I'm gonna do, and it's typically cheaper because I'm not really very ostentatious to begin with. but it's type of, I wouldn't say it's boring as much more. It's very solitary. You know, it is what it is. Traveling with my wife changed a lot as far as like where we're going, how fast we're going, how slow we're going, how we're taking things in, or even the type of interactions we're having. That changes. But then now you have the kids. If you're traveling with kids, that's a whole other parameter of how you process what is a good trip. A good trip for kids changes in regards to, you know, what you see, how fun it is, or even seeing the kid version of, like, let's say Paris, not necessarily the Louvre, but the kid version of the Louvre. What part of the Louvre would be interesting for kids to see? So it's going to be challenging for me. So I appreciate that. And it's also going to be something that I want to see how they experience the world as well. When they come back, when they tell the story to their parents or to their friends as to what they saw, and those little tells, like when the kids were like, "Oh yeah, I went to Paris," you know, and let's brush it off to the next thing. This summertime, I went to Denmark or something like that, or I went to ski, or I did a road trip of like 5 or 6 countries. I want them to say, or 5 or 6 states. I want them to have a story to tell, and that's what's going to really be interesting for me to see how they change and how almost their entire trajectory changes, just like yours did, only solely based off the fact that they've been somewhere else. They've increased their range. And this is going to be interesting to see how they even process, like how important it is for them to learn a new language. At some point, it's like, hey, do I really need to know Spanish? Or, oh, yeah, I need to know Spanish because I'm about to go to this other trip. And I want to go to Spain and I really want to rock out. So it changes you in such a slight but fundamental way. And I think it's going to add so much value to just our family, or even my friend's family, because I got my godson, who's my best friend's kid. I'm just going to take him, like, yo, and when he's 3 or 4, I'm not going to wait for the perfect moment, because like I did in the past, or maybe I didn't have the money to do so. I'm just going to take him on the trip. I'm like, hey, this trip is going to be a very short 1 week. We're going to France, and then we're going to hit France. We're going to get on the train. We're going to go straight to UK. That's a simple trip. That train to UK is a 2-hour trip. It's a back and forth to show them that transportation is different over there, or maybe to hit, like, 2 countries or something like that, but showing them architecture, showing them, wow, this is how different people interact, or this is how boring a museum is per se, or this is the Louvre, this is the pyramids. I want them to be able to experience that very young, so they could decide for themselves how they want to live.
Yeah, I think what this makes it out to be is just like the power of exposure. And Atlanta's here. I think Atlanta talks about this all the time on when she was was it Korea? It was Korea, right?
You never remember though. You always say that. It was South Korea, not North Korea. She ain't about that North Korea life.
Yeah, like she might have not came back, but
whoa.
See, look, she's like, I can't even talk about it. Like, she never talked about it.
Yeah, talking about.
We're talking about exposure, like traveling with children, like being able to give them that exposure and how much it changes. And it's, Lawrence has the plans. I don't know if you've seen the email that he sent us.
Yeah, I seen it. Yeah.
And he's talking about like being able to take like his godson, his nieces and nephews, or whoever, like, hey, let's go, because it's life changing, because exposure, and that's exposure to anything. Like, don't underestimate it, from like even local things that you could do with your children, as well as like taking them to the bank for them to see these interactions, letting them into the process of adulting so that they can understand. And I think a lot of times, like, we underestimate like the power of those moments where those kids are seeing us through a light. Like, you do something for them, and the kindness and the experience that they have is like, it's just amazing. I just love it. It's one of the reasons why anytime somebody comes to visit me in Boston and we actually have time, I'll take you downtown to see the historical place where, like, the Boston Tea Party and doing all these things, because I just want you to be exposed to another way of living. Like, my friend came, she's like, oh my gosh, you guys live completely different than South Florida. And I'm like, yeah, because it's not South Florida. It allows you to experience a different way of living and different possibilities. And it forces your brain to do this thing of like, oh, maybe there's better ways to do something, or there's different ways to do something. And I think it's so damn dope. Like, yeah, it's amazing. I think it's going to be really, really cool.
Yeah, some of those things too, like, I won't say there's cute moments, but you ever see kids like trying to pull their own luggage. It's hilarious, but it's also an opportunity for them to be more responsible for their
Yep.
own stuff. And they take it seriously too. It's like, hey, it's my stuff. Like, I don't want you to touch my stuff.
Or even packing too. So they get excited, like what to bring, what not to bring, and like waiting up all night till they get to the airport. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you never know what that does too with them. Like, hey, if I give them that call, it's like, hey, this spring break, we're gonna head out to whatever, and then they have to decide like, how do I pack, or even what I'm gonna tell to my parents and my friends. And they get a little, ego. It's like, hey, I know what you're gonna do for your spring break, but I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna go over there. So they get a certain level of confidence about who they are and their own destiny and what they're gonna do with their lives. So I'm all here for it. I think I really wanted to add that for a while, and I just want to start doing it basically based off of the travel experience that I have. I'm able to just literally do that. Like in my mind, like it's not that damn hard to get people from point A to point B. And once I'm situated in Orlando, which is also a nice little travel hub, I'll be able to grab kids wherever they are and just kind of like fly with them. If let's say if I had to fly from Fort Lauderdale, I could just drive to Fort Lauderdale. Or if I have to, maybe even plan a trip to go back to DC, I could just go back to DC because I know the place. So there's all these opportunities to really create new experiences for the community, especially for people that's never been outside. There's parents I know that would want to travel, but they never even travel themselves. So how can you expect them to travel with their kids if they've never also been outside the state or the country? Sometimes they're afraid and they need that person to help.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting when you mention that, because I think the angle is like everybody says who they will be when they have children or what they'll experience, but it actually starts with what you're experiencing currently. It's the life that you're cultivating now that enables for that future type of vision that you actually want to do.
I always thought that's such a trip. It's like when I had locks. When I cut off, did I cut off? Yeah. When I started locks right after I graduated college, and I was like, oh, your locks is growing up nice. I'm going to wait until I have all my kids, and I'm going to have my locks. I can settle into my hair and stuff, like all these magical things that's supposed to, it kills me. I'm like, why won't you do it now? If you want locks in your hair, why won't you just travel now? No, I'm going to buy a house until I get married. I'm just like, okay, but you're not even dating anyone right now. You get what I'm saying? It's like all these things, people just think that you have to get to this one point in order to get to the other point. Something have to happen in between the time. It's like, no, it doesn't. I think you should just live your life and allow it to kind of unravel the way that God wanted to unravel, the way that it was meant to be. But it kind of kills me when people miraculously think all these things should happen when you have children or you have a spouse or like all these other, I guess, circumstances. It's like you wasn't doing it before. Why do you think you're going to do it again?
Dan, you out here hurting people. Like you came in like some real toxicity, Atlanta. Like just be empathetic to their experience.
Whatever.
Like,
Atlanta spit straight facts on that, because it's like this imaginary life that we think we're going to live, and then it never happens, and then we're sad because we are like, oh, I thought by now I would do this. And it's because you're not living your life that you probably are not where you want to be. Maybe on that trip you would have met somebody. Maybe on this you would have made a business. You never know. But if you're not out there exploring, nothing's about to happen.
Yeah, y'all keep waiting. Keep on.
dang, like what is the shade what's going on here? Like the double shade. I'm like, hey, some people just don't have the same push and pull. And I guess I'm becoming more sympathetic to that position.
Yeah.
I'm becoming more sympathetic as a person to that position, because I think some people just either they don't have it, or that we do need to, help out the community in the sense of helping them travel more, or not travel for the sake of just like, oh, I'm just going to spend some money on a flight. I'm just going to fly over here and just ball out. And that's not what this is. This is an experiment to really change or increase the trajectory of somebody, right? Or the range that the person has. And I think that's the most important thing that you can do as a community, especially if you have, let's say, You got siblings that have kids, but they're so stressed out with work, or they're stressed out with the money they don't have. And if you have the extra time, why not take those kids and travel to Orlando, right, for the whatever it is for spring break, or travel to what other city that you go to, even Canada. I think a lot of people used to subtly do that in some of the Haitian communities, but I think we need to start stepping up as a millennial Gen Z generation into that position of adulthood where we can actually be the change that we want to see.
But I think there's also a lot of fear that parents have, and that goes back to the society that we live in. Like back in the day, let's think about Haiti, for example, right? Somebody could have sent you down the street to go pick up something from now. The kids that are existing now are very coddled. Parents don't want to not be in their kids' presence.
Exactly.
As much as people be like, oh, I want to break for them kids, you're like, hey, I can take the kids for a weekend. Like I've asked, like, hey, Boston is pretty, like, especially during the summertime, there's crazy things in Mountain Dew. I can take them off your hands for a week, but people are paranoid. People don't have like understanding, and they also are not necessarily doing the work with their children so that they can understand, like, if somebody's touching you in an inappropriate way or something that's off. And so a lot of times, yes, we do need to be better to be available. But when you make yourself available, a lot of parents have so much fears that they're not willing. They're literally in a very fear-stricken type of mindset, which enables that you that want to help can't even help.
Lovely, hit it right on the head. I was just going to say, I got plenty of nieces and nephews, and it's exactly that. It is exactly that. So, I mean, you can try.
I would say that, yeah, also you guys bring up a good point, because there's some also parents that are jealous of their siblings or jealous of their friends. So they're not going to allow the kid to have that kind of experience that's apart from them as well. So I think I've seen that on TV.
That's not them.
I've seen that. Yeah, I was like, hey, I've seen that on TV shows, whatever it is. It's like, hey, you don't want the other person to steal your spotlight, or for you to feel like you're like not a great parent or something. But I think part of being a great parent is understanding that you're not going to be everything to your own child. You're not God to your kid. You're supposed to shepherd them. You're supposed to give them the best opportunity. And even if that opportunity is outside of you, that's the whole point. But I don't think a lot of people know that. And I think some people might feel challenged by it.
Yeah, all of that and more some. And it's like something you can't really necessarily stop. So you can make yourself available as much as you can. You can share insights. You can tell them, like, hey, this is what's available. This is what it is. Like one of my friends, like, she's like, yeah, when I have kids, I already know that you're the spot, because I literally have a folder in my Apple Notes of locations and spots and things to explore. I'm constantly adding things, because what's the point of having great experiences? Like, I'd rather not go out to like a whole bunch of restaurants, but I'm choosing, like, I'm supposed to go to this place called Tempo, but I'd rather have like solid experiences than having random ones. So it's a lot that can be done, but we can only open our arms, we can only offer, and it's still up to people to decide if they want to partake.
Yeah, I know my stance on it.
Dang.
I ain't gonna say it no more.
Yeah, like we're all at that place. It's like, well, do you? And we're shrugging, like, I guess. Let's see. Okay. I'm out here trying to book a flight to Houston. Sorry, guys. But no.
I'm out here also trying to like I'm literally updating the hell out of this Google Finance sheet, because it's so good. It's so cool to, at least for me, I love to see the data, to juxtapose it and all that good stuff. So I'm looking at that as well, because the next couple of years when I settle into that Orlando, time to, level up in becoming a better man, stepping up into what I need to do to help out my community, and also to see, where there are gaps to provide opportunities. So that's why I sent everybody that list of where we're traveling. So just in case you say, you know what, I want to jump in on this trip, Lawrence. Let me know where can I be and what can I do. I'm like, all right, cool. Or, hey, man, I can't do it. I can't be with my kid and whatever it is. Like, Lawrence, you've been doing this for a bit with these other kids as well. Do you want to, grab my kid, or can I come along, or can somebody else come along? I'm like, you know what, cool. So I want to create opportunities where I'm actively solving some of the problems that I see.
Yep. And I think that's where it's going to make a big difference. Like all you can do is offer, all we can do is create the space. It's up to everybody else to try to, fill it in. But I also do understand that the power of exposure from the other angle is that you might have to do it with one kid, post it the reel on Instagram and the pictures for somebody else's eyes. Like, dang, yeah, I want to make sure that happens for my kid and myself next time too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So that's always the play too. So
like one of the things I love about my little cousin, who is the godmother of both of my god kids, or two of my god kids and the other extra, is that she's always been open to me to just grab the kids and be out. So she's never had that like level of reticence or fear. So even like I asked my godson when I was there last year, like, hey, what you want to do? Where you want to travel? And he said straight up, Japan. I'm like, I've never been to Japan, but I'm like, you know what, kid? I'll make a deal with you. We get to a certain age, we're gonna go to Japan together. That's just what it's gonna be. So her mom doesn't, his mom doesn't want to go. So it's cool. We're just gonna fly out like two dudes. Let's go check this place out, and let's go see all the happening spots for kids or even for adults. Let's see what's going on there. And I don't know, Japan seems like a fun place for anime, robots, Sentai, all that good stuff. So why not?
Yeah, I would love to take my niece. Oh shit, she'll about to be 12 in April. I would love to take her. I need to get a passport first. I would love to take her.
Shoot, I want to go to Egypt with some kids too. I'm like, yo, these are the pyramids that you're gonna hear so much about for your entire life that you finally get to see. Why not? So it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at all types of different narratives that I could play out in Orlando. And I guess that's also how I plan my future. I have to like almost imagine it, work out all the details, work out how it flows. Even like the financial literacy instruction that I need to get, like certification, the Florida State University offer those courses. It's $450 a pop. I'm like, I'm going back to Florida State University. First, I was thinking Howard, but I'm like, if I'm gonna be down south, why not go back to my alma mater and double down there? And also buy homes over there as well. So create that opportunity for down the line. I could just say, hey, all these properties now are scholarship homes. So I'm trying to string along everything that I'm learning, what I'm doing, into a process that's really gonna generate a vast amount of wealth for my community.
A lot out here saying impact, because that's
empower personal capital.
Man, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it because it's like personal capital to empower. It's like
it's cringe. It's cringe.
And when you go on it, it looks like I get it. I understood everything that you say, that why they did what they had to do and why, the economy and everything else. But I like personal capital.
Yeah, I was fine with personal capital being like, hey, it's for the people that need to know. And for everybody else, it's just not a thing. But with that being said, this ends the very short episode or pseudo episode where we discuss what travel means to kids and how we can really broaden the horizon of a lot of people, not just kids, but even adults themselves, to ensure that you have more opportunities, chance encounters, and also build wealth at the same time. So it's a narrative that goes beyond just taking photos in another exotic country and living like a noble or a king, but it's ultimately to increase your wealth of knowledge, understanding, perspective, and also to get good food, in my opinion. But you can find me at theneighborhoodfinanceguy.com. And where can they find you, Lovely? Because I'm not going to include Atlanta.
Oh, wow. That's okay.
Yeah, that went there.
Okay. You can find me at Lovely Merdelis on the social media streets. And that's about it for now. That's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing. And my hope and my dream lately is to actually cultivate. This actually been in my mind before, but then I noticed Lawrence is like a super blogger, and I'm like, dang, that's really dope. And I think about how you can archive things, but also being able to kind of document your journey. And now that I know some of the things that are corely important to me more, I want to start writing about them and also including resources for the sake of that. I know that there's a groups of people that actually want tangible change, So talking about health, also talking about some of the health journeys that I'm going on now.
Say no more, fam. You could be a guest author in the Financial Griot, the neighborhood finance guy at some point. You can start writing there. You don't have to do it yourself. Just add to that, and then eventually, we change up.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna write my article about like all the stuff that I'm doing with the dental care and the breakdown of the cost and how I was able to cover it.
Write it down. I say write it down.
I'll send it over to you.
You send it over, or eventually I'll just kind of add you to things, so you could add it whenever. In my opinion, it's not a big deal.
Okay.
I guess that's part of what I do as well. Is like I don't have a super proprietary bone in my body as much more if it's serves the betterment of the community, why not? I probably said it before in the podcast and probably said it in passing, but next year I'm probably going to start like fizzling out of being the neighborhood finance guy by 2025 or something. And if that entire IG page becomes the Financial Griot, I don't mind. If that's the way we go, that's the way we go, guys. That's just what we do. I'd rather that the information be out there.
Yeah, I'm going to start sending it over. I'll start sending this stuff because I really thought about it. It's like, we do need more of this stuff. Oh my goodness. We're trying to start a other podcast. You can find me at Lovely Mordellis. You can find me at Lovely Mordellis. And also coming soon to the Neighborhood Finance Guy, I'll be starting my posts and sharing my thoughts.
Yes.
All right.
Alana, what's up? What's up with you, Alana?
You can find me on IG. I'll be there.
Wow, you sound really sad though. So you all right?
Yeah, I'm okay.
You sure? Let's pause this. Because do we need one of them chat therapy sessions? Well, thank you guys for listening to the Financial Griot podcast. We're out so we can have a therapy session. Shout out. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Griot podcast, powered by the Wealth Builders Collective.